So I'm Ray Frost. I'm a screen printer and a zinester, and I work out of the generator.
I never think about calling myself a zinester. I think I want to make more zines so I can say that about myself. It's a badass title. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about is your background and just being from this area and being from Gardnerville and the process of how you found art and became an artist.
Well, I mean, my mom was always very into arts and crafts. You know, she liked to do the recycled arts and crafts kind of stuff. And my grandma, who I spent a lot of time with as a kid, was the founder of the Gardnerville Quilt Guild. So she made tons and tons of quilts. And so I spent a lot of time with her watching her arrange her blocks and looking at different colors and patterns and layouts. And so I guess I've kind of been interested in art as long as I can remember because of that. I learned to screen print in high school. My school had a vocational ed program kind of thing attached to it. So I started screen printing when I was 14, and it soon just became my favorite medium because, I've always liked drawing, but something about getting to see it on textiles and in that sort of a more dimensional and tangible form was really cool. And so I pretty much have been screen printing ever since.
Nice.
It's cool. I relate to a lot of that personally.
Yeah.
I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania and grew up with a grandmother sewing, and I have a strong connection to textile art for that reason.
Yeah, same. My Nana taught me on her Singer with the foot pedal, the metal foot pedal that we still have at my grandparents' house.
That's so cool.
So I guess one of the questions we had is, we know on your Etsy, you use the name Zeppy Stardust. Do you want to talk about where you came up with that, what it means to you?
Yeah, so I love David Bowie, and as a queer kid in a small town, his music and his iconography on his albums were something that resonated a lot with me and really meant a lot to me. I would try to copy the Aladdin Sane Bolt and stuff in my bedroom and all that kind of stuff. So when I opened my Etsy store, I had been on a big David Bowie kick, and I had just read a book about the character of Ziggy Stardust and how Bowie was really terrified of being a public persona personally. So he made up this alien from Mars to give himself a way to be a public persona without being himself. And I have a big brain damaged cat who I just adore, and his name is Zeppy. And I thought that it would be really funny to kind of combine the two and imagine Zeppy as a rock star, very camp persona. And so I decided to call my Etsy shop Zeppy Stardust Studios because I didn't really have another name in mind, and I liked it.
Yeah, it's really cute. That's neat to know that the cat is part of the story too. And I mean, speaking of personas, so you have a lot of characters that you work with in your art. I just want to ask which one's your favorite, and if you could tell me about them.
I mean, my favorites, the cactus queens are fun to draw. The anthropomorphized cactus ladies, I really like them. Those are kind of a reclaiming of the slur cactus queen that old femme lesbians sometimes get. I thought that was cool. But my favorite probably.
Yeah, I wonder if that's is that
a Western?
Yeah, is it a Western slur?
Yeah, yeah, it's a Western slur.
I have never heard that.
I would feel very proud to be called a cactus queen.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know that that's
it's like the coolest slur I've
people hate. But that's where those came from. But I love to draw them. But my favorite character is the coyote. And the coyote is my representation of myself. Coyote's name is Ugly. And they transform human, part coyote to full coyote. And so I have a lot of fun playing with that. Their transformation is their shoes. If they take their shoes off, they turn full coyote. Because I feel like there is something very different about the experience of the world with shoes on and with shoes off. So that's part of why I chose that for their transformative point. And as a trans person, especially a non-binary trans person growing up in a small town, I always felt sort of between worlds. And so I kind of like that the coyote floats between different liminal spaces in different forms as kind of a representation of that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So one thing that I personally have observed as someone who's not from this area. I grew up on the East Coast. I lived in Portland, Oregon for a while. So I've lived in some culturally diverse areas. And I feel like your comic has this, and a lot of your comic strip work has a sort of vibe about it that I associate with the character of this region. And I just wonder if that's something you think about, or if that's just like a natural occurrence.
I mean, it's somewhat deliberate and it occurs somewhat on its own. It's sort of both. I went to St. Louis for a year for graduate school. I thought I wanted to do a Master of Fine Arts for fiction writing, but when I was there, I realized that I don't care if people won't take my work as seriously because it's done in comic form instead of in prose. And I really missed Nevada. I had never lived anywhere else before that year. And I really wanted to come home. And when I started drawing the zine, it was kind of a way that I could work on a project that would take me back to the desert before I could physically get back here. The desert is kind of like a huge character because it's like the setting and it's always there, but it isn't necessarily deliberate in 100% of my comics that the desert turns into a setting. It's just kind of part of what happened with it.
It's really cool. You've done a really good job with it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really enjoy reading it.
Tell us also about like your process of zine making and how you got started doing zines and where you even found out about zines.
I found out about zines in high school. Someone I knew let me borrow a bunch of his collection so I could read them. And then I was really depressed for a few years and I didn't really read zines or make zines or anything. And I started reading them again when my partner and I started dating bicycle zines from Microcosm Publishing.
Nice.
And then after that, I just progressively got back into them and into comics and comic making. And I hadn't made comics since high school. So then when we were living in St. Louis and I really wanted to come back, we both really wanted to come back, actually. We decided that we were going to make a zine because we had stories we wanted to tell, and clearly like the traditional roots of academic writing weren't the right way, and zine making felt like a really accessible DIY way to do it. So I got like a dollar store sketch pad and started working on the drawings for it. And I have an old copy of Photoshop, like 16-year-old copy, and started using that, and found like a free program where I could arrange the pages and just started like just making stuff and putting it together. And took it to Staples and had it printed and copied and started giving it to people. And yeah, it kind of just all came together, and I just sort of had to figure it all out on my own with the tools I had. But I'd always loved zines and I'd always wanted to make one. And when we were in St. Louis and just really miserable, my partner was just kind of like, well, you love making comics and you don't anymore. Maybe you should. And you always wanted to make a zine, so why don't you just do it? So it was really kind of Shay pushing me to just like, yeah, go back to doing art and do the things you want to do, because like there's no point in waiting around for when you're good enough to do it.
I
You
love
just
that
have to
statement
start
so
doing it.
much.
Yeah.
That like I wish more people could like fully realize the enormity of that statement and the way they limit themselves by feeling like they aren't allowed to do things that they can't like make money at or be like the best in the world. Like there's too many people already doing it, so they feel like they're not going to be able to stand out or whatever. And it's just like, just do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The act of doing it is the whole thing.
Yeah. And I've tried to progressively get braver with that approach in my art. Like earlier this year, I approached an artist, Kelly Johnson, whose work I really admire, and her character Wolf Boy kind of inspired the design of Ugly. And I was like, hey, I want to finish your half of your Michelangelo drawing you did. So maybe you'd collaborate with me and do it. And she said yes, which like that was really impressive to me because she's like a fairly well-known animator.
Yeah.
And I'm just like some weirdo. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. And it was really fun and really cool. So
I feel like the more you get, like you meet people that you admire in the art world, you realize more and more that we're all just weirdos doing a thing. And some people
yeah.
having a little more like success than others.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I've kind of just decided that like you can't wait for things. You have to just do them. And if somebody says no, then like you just move on. And
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that on here. I'm excited for people to hear that.
Can you tell us about the first time that you came to the generator and how you found the generator?
So I found the generator because a friend of mine had seen the call for vendors for the first punk rock flea on Facebook and emailed it to me. And I applied to vend. And you, Sprocket, contacted me and asked me about screen printing and if I could help you guys with, like getting it set up to be functional and like printing for the flea. And so that was how I got involved with the generator. And the first time I ever came to the Ice House location was the first day I had ever had my mohawk up. I had finally decided that like, yeah, let's shave my head and give me a mohawk. This will be fine. And I had put it up at like 6 a.m. and gone to work with my partner to hang out in their office because I didn't know how to ride a bike yet and I had no way to get to the generator aside from going with them. And so I remember being like, oh God, like I look completely stupid. These guys are going to think I'm a fool. And then everybody was so sweet and so welcoming. And I just thought that it was such a cool and interesting space. And I wanted to get more involved with being a part of it because it was just such a cool art community. And like, it was the thing I had been looking for. And didn't know that it was like right there in Sparks the whole time. So that was how I got involved with the generator.
Well, okay, so talk a little bit now about how involved you are with the flea market and with the generator. I mean, you're like the best. You're the best case scenario, Ray. You've gone from like didn't even know to being like one of our core volunteers and like being so a part of the culture and a part of our community. So that's, I mean,
yeah, definitely.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like screen printing, has been a huge thing in my life and it like really saved me. And when I was in St. Louis, I had taught my partner to screen print in my garage when we first started dating. When we were in St. Louis, we worked in a print shop and they had gotten the job with the print skills I taught them in my garage, which was pretty cool. And the whole time we lived there, every day I would go to work and I would just be like, man, I would rather be at the generator. I don't even care that I wouldn't be getting paid. Like, I hate doing these corporate, bullshit t-shirts that nobody's going to wear. And like screen printing for me is art. So I wanted to be printing somewhere that it was an art and I wanted to get to help other people make art and get that feeling that's like so magical of like, this is something that I drew on a piece of paper and now it's here like in 3 dimensions on a t-shirt that you did that. And like that sense of like agency and empowerment has meant a lot to me. And I wanted a way to share that with other people. And I get to do that at the generator. And I get to be a part of a space and a community where it's all right to be what I am. And I've spent a lot of my life feeling like I just am not okay, that I'm not supposed to exist and I'm not supposed to be what I am. And like having a space where I get to be that and it's okay and nobody questions it is really cool and has really meant a lot to me.
Like over here.
Like I love punk rock. I love going to shows. I love selling patches and seeing other people's art and trading and stuff. So like, of course I want to do the punk rock flea and be a part of that because it's just like a big, cool fest where everybody gets to bring their neat stuff they've made and show it off and trade it with everybody and listen to rad music and hang out. And like, that's just so fun. And like, when I was in high school, I like dreamed about that kind of stuff from having read it in zines, but didn't think it would ever be something I got to go to. And now it is. And like, that's just so awesome. And I love that.
Yeah.
So
not
true.
only do you get to go to it, but you get to like help us make it,
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's the fucking shit. It's so awesome.
Yeah, I've always wanted to be the merch guy for something because like I don't know how to play anything. I'm a horrible singer. I don't know how to write songs. I get through like one rhyming couplet and then I'm like, I'm tapped out. So
You get further than I do.
We should still start a terrible band, please.
We should. It's like getting to be the merch guy for like the coolest show that happens every year. And like that is just so fun and fulfilling.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
yeah.
so much work, but it's so fun.
It.
It's so worth it. And
God, I relate so hard to so much of what you just said. I'm like,
yeah. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Like, that's what we're trying to do, is just make a space where like 13-year-old us like not only feels safe but feels celebrated. And like that's what I'm trying to do every day. Well, my last question for you was about the zine workshop that we're gonna do, or that you're gonna do on March 21st, and about the new quarterly zine that's gonna be coming out.
So I mean, I'm very excited about both of those. I think it's really cool that we're going to get to put out like a community sourced zine, and that there'll be a place for people who maybe don't yet feel like they could do the whole thing by themselves to send things out that they want to share with everybody, and that we get to see a bunch of different perspectives on topic and put that out in the world as kind of a thing for everyone to read and show off, give it to their friends and all that good stuff. I think it's really cool to get to kind of be a part of organizing that and putting that out into the community. And then the zine workshop, that'll be fun, and hopefully people who come will see that zine making and making art and stuff doesn't have to be any elaborate, complicated thing, that it's something you can do at home with what you already have. And yeah, you should just sit down and make them if you want to make zines. And there's no right way to do it. So there's also no wrong way to do it. And
so we're going to start having a quarterly zine now, inspired by the punk rock flea market. We made our first zine. Ray helped to put it all together, and we did a collaborative open call community zine for the flea market this last year. And now we're going to do it quarterly because we had so much fun, and anybody can send in a page or 2 pages, however much you want, and we'll put it in the zine, and Ray and I will lay it out, and then we'll print it and we'll staple it, and it'll go out into the world, and your art will be in the world. And we're going to have a theme for each one, and the theme for this one is lucky numbers in honor of Ray's birthday.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to send something to the zine, all you have to do is email us at info@rprfm.org. You can just send it on over, take a picture with your phone, scan it on a copier, however you want to do it, make it digitally and send it to us. Or you can come down to the first zine workshop, which will be this Sunday. We're airing this Saturday, so it'll be tomorrow, guys. 2 to 5, Sunday, March 21st at our Bell Street location, which is 250 Bell Street in downtown Reno. Just come on, knock on our door, and we'll be waiting for you, and we'll let you in, and you can come make zines with us. And literally,
And corny jokes.
yeah, literally no art background required. Like, no, you could have never done art in your life. I promise you, you can make a cool zine page.
Yeah.
So-
We'll have collage stuff in case you feel more comfortable picking through images that already exist. Oh, and I guess on the note of for the quarterly zine, if somebody has a physical piece that they can't scan, I have a color scanner, and if they can get it to me some way, I will scan it and return it.
Thanks so much, Ray.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem.
Yeah,
This is
that was
really fun.
It was really good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I my hope is that it inspires other people to show up for the zine workshop, and suddenly we have even more, rad people. I'm so happy that you came back from St. Louis.
Me too. Me too. Like, not to be dramatic, but I feel like moving back to the desert saved my life, because I felt like I was just like floundering and dying and couldn't live without this desert. And with the community and the people here, I guess I had to leave to realize that I already was a part of the thing I had already wanted to be a part of, and I just was too insecure and anxious to realize that I already had a community and a home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. I
You
feel
can
like
get, you're the only person who can give yourself permission to believe that you're one of the people that's doing the thing
yeah,
that you admire.
I had to go away to figure that out, but